Connecting to the cloud server. Okay. We are recording. This is September 2nd, 2020. This is a special meeting of the Tourism and Economic Development Advisory Committee. We'll just make note of the roll call, and what we need to do first, being that it's a special meeting, is we just need somebody. We need to set the agenda, approve the agenda. You all received the agenda. So I just need us to take a vote to approve the agenda. A motion and a vote. Yep. Okay, BJ and second Amanda. All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
unanimous.
Aye.
All right, and then we get to move right into minutes approval. I sent you, as I mentioned, the June 25th and the July 23rd links. We couldn't approve at the last meeting, so let's take them one by one. Do I have a motion to approve the June 25th meeting? All right, BJ, second. Greg, looks like you. You're gonna second that. All in favor? No,
Aye.
no discussion. No. Okay. And then a motion to approve the July 23rd. Same thing.
So moved.
Okay, Sue, and a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor? Good.
Aye.
Everybody. I know that's kind of complicated, but not really. All right, so we're here for one issue, and then we've got Fred wants to just report on something that he's working on. So we're going to start with Bob. For those of you that were in attendance at the last meeting and those that weren't who read the minutes, Bob presented to us what he's been working on to reinvent, reimagine Channel 79. And he's at a point now where he really needs to move some things forward. So I thought we'd let him present to us. And then if we decide to take a vote, we would take a vote to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that we approve some funding per his request. So Bob, I'm just going to let you hit it.
Interesting sitting at the other side of the table here. But,
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for jumping into this special meeting. So as you all know at this point that I'm transitioning into the leadership role at New Canaan Public Access, Inc., which is a 501c3 organization in town, but better known to all of us as NCTV 79. Quick little bit of background, NCTV was started in 1989. As with the sole purpose of connecting people to community and government with a capital C and a capital G, and it's been doing that very well for many years. It's currently on cable channel 79 and has an on-demand presence on a Vimeo channel. One of the reasons I've stepped into this role is because I think the possibilities are endless for channel 79. The channel is a great medium for the town to show all it has to offer to both current residents and to attract new families and businesses. So I'm working with Paul Sedlak, and we're currently undertaking to make NCTV more easily accessible. We're looking at creating, as we move forward, our own Apple and Roku channels to bring high definition quality to NCTV. And we're moving from Vimeo to YouTube to be even more accessible for live streamed events and on-demand viewing from anywhere, anytime. So if you're in Brussels, San Francisco, Nantucket, or Vinyl Haven, you can keep up with what's happening in the town very easily through these new channels. And we recently were able to create a great proof point around this that people do want to watch, more than anecdotally, which we know that people like to watch 79, is when Tom Stadler came to me in early June, I guess it was, and said, gosh, what a shame that we're not going to be able to have a July 4th this year. What can we do for the town? We sat down and we came up with the idea of creating a virtual fireworks display. And we were very lucky, and Tucker, correct me if I get her name wrong, but Retu Johnny, did I pronounce it right?
The young lady?
Yes, Retu had taken a great video last year of the July 4th fireworks, and we were able to get that file from her, she still had it, and create a half-hour virtual, I call it the fire log, the Yule log program, but we were able to create a virtual fireworks that was our own New Canaan fireworks. And Kevin did an introduction, Tucker did a welcome back to downtown introduction, and a young woman from New Canaan High School sang for us. And we put together this half-hour program and ran it 11 times, I think, over July 4th weekend and made it available on demand. And we know that over 600 families watched the virtual fireworks on short notice. So to us, that's a proof point that we can get the community to watch 79 if we give them valuable content and a way to watch it anytime, anywhere. The overarching purpose of New Canaan Television is to make government and community more accessible, and that kind of helped us do it. So we're working and we have a plan to rebuild the station into the community channel it once was, because it's primarily government now, but it had been a major focus on community many years ago. So we want to have community programming year round, continued government coverage, and community programs. Live events like the Staying Put in New Canaan event in October will now be virtual, and we'll live stream it. We're going to be live streaming the 9/11 service from the steps of Town Hall so that everyone in town can see it. And we'll be live streaming work with the League of Women Voters debates. We have plans in the works for documentaries on town residents, coverage of events and destinations, and we're actually currently producing 2 new series that we're in the middle of: a 6-part health series for seniors, which is a partnership between the New Canaan Health and Human Services and Silver Hill Hospital, and a 19-part interview series on women leaders in New Canaan as part of the celebration of the 100 years of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. And that project is led by Nancy Geary and the New Canaan Museum and Historical Society, and we've partnered to do all the production with her and the team, and those will start coming out. Both those series will start coming out in just a few weeks. We're working on 3 major live streamed concerts for the holiday season. One with a world-renowned musician who lives here in New Canaan. We're working with the library on streaming their presentations as well, the local theaters, and of course, we've got library full of encore presentations of the best from years past. And this is all in an effort really to share the unique culture of New Canaan, to engage the community, and help to position New Canaan as a destination for new families and businesses, and a reason for current residents, as you've heard me say a million times, to rediscover New Canaan. Every town, or pretty much every town in Connecticut, has its own Channel 79 that broadcasts just within its zip code, in its borders. But no other town, certainly in our catchment area, is doing what we did in the past and what we're rebuilding to now. So I think there's an important role for New Canaan Television to play in promoting New Canaan, as I said, as a place to do business, as to raise families, and to be engaged in our community. In the fall, we'll be working with the town during budget season to support the station again next year. They pay for government coverage every year. We have to raise money privately for community programming. In the meantime, and the key reason we're here tonight, and ASAP, with all the new programming that's happening, we need to move quickly to build out a new website. The current one is 12 years old or more. It's old technology and it doesn't work well. To build a new website and to build out the social media distribution channels, Facebook, YouTube, etc., so that we can make sure we can get this content viewed and easily accessible. So tonight I'm asking TDAC to support this effort as part of our original purpose of marketing New Canaan, and to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they approve $10,000 for the digital channel building for New Canaan Television from the TDAC budget. And TDAC has shown financial support for October for Design and Live New Canaan in much the same manner. So I'm hoping that you'll see this in the same light and share your support for what I think is an important marketing channel for New Canaan. So that's my piece. If you have any questions or comments, I'm here.
Bob, is one of the, as you produce this content, is it content that you would be willing to share with Live New Canaan, for example? Some of the...
We're already doing that. So the answer is
Okay.
broadly yes. We will share it where it can be, yeah.
Great.
And you might have mentioned this and I missed it, but you say every town has their own version of a Channel 79.
Yep.
If somebody lived in Darien, could they, I mean, they could go on and watch our programming on a computer, right? But they couldn't get it, their channel 79. obviously.
There's only 179 on your cable box. So when you turn it in, it is tuned to your zip code, to your area. So
Right.
on television. So one of the reasons for us to move to, we're not going to lose channel 79 itself as it stands, but moving to adding Roku and Apple TV access means you can watch it from anywhere on your television screen.
Okay.
So you can watch it on a 60-inch and 80-inch plasma, whatever you want, but you can always watch it on your computer as well. So there's on-demand programming, which is the anytime, anywhere, but there's also television program that you could tune into from other places. And by the way, I mean, the technology is such that if you can project YouTube to your home television as well, anyway, from your computer or your phone.
Yeah. Okay.
And what social media platforms were you thinking about, Bob?
Well, right off the bat, we're moving from Vimeo to YouTube, and Facebook are the two key ones right off the bat. We want to move quickly and get up on our feet, and then obviously as time goes by, we'll get into other things.
So maybe Instagram into Facebook, so
Yeah.
save time?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that would be because just the Instagram feed enables you to see, okay, quickly, there's something going on tomorrow night that I want to watch.
Yes. Yeah. To
Kind of
me,
almost like a
yes.
notification.
No, and I see you parsing them. To me, they're one and the same. When I say Facebook, it is Instagram, Facebook. You can't do one without the other, really. Yeah.
Did you feel like you have more technology needs, like actual physical machine, the infrastructure of Channel 79?
Yes, so there's a couple of things there. Channel 79 does have a certain amount of equipment that it owns. My company is going to donate a lot of new production equipment to the channel as well before I actually take the executive director, before I actually take over the station.
Yeah.
We're going to donate some equipment that we have that's not shelf-lifed out, but we have it. It's excess for us.
Right.
And then there is on the infrastructure end, and the reason we'll be talking with the town in the fall, and Kevin and Tucker are aware of this, is that yes, the broadcasting infrastructure is 11 years old and needs to be replaced. Needs to be replaced now, but we're trying to do as many band-aids as we can. But certainly within the next several months, it's all going to have to be replaced. That was done with a grant from the state of Connecticut initially, and some donations to the organization 11 years ago, thereabouts. Kevin, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but yep, Amanda, sorry.
Yeah, no, this is less about infrastructure and more about content. And we know that anything in town that involves kids involves their families. And if there's ever a sense of the urgency to get more content, it would be really great to see some of our young filmmakers and videographers have an opportunity to share.
We have all sorts of plans for programming like that as well. Yep.
Great.
In place, but we have to walk before we run. So right now it's
Absolutely.
Paul Sedlak and me and one other person, and we're trying to build the organization out. So we have a lot of plans, and by the way, they're not things that we haven't done in the past. We had exactly that kind of program in the past. We had interns, we had young videographers, young filmmakers doing things years ago on the channel. So we're trying to resurrect all of that in ways that are honestly much easier to do these days because of technology.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob. Bob, what's the business model? What's the business model going forward? Is there something you can do to improve, the funding that you going forward? Once the town gives you the funding and we give you some funding, is there things you can do to improve and modernize the business model?
So years ago, the organization was raising upwards of $60,000 a year in that money in those days. So there was a need, there was an agreement to raise money. So the town pays to cover the government, and we raise money for the community work. In the last couple of months alone, to do these few projects that we're involved in, even though they're partnerships, we've gone out and raised thousands and thousands of dollars privately to make these projects happen, or they would not be happening. So the answer to your question is we know we can do it. We know the community wants it, and we'll have to ramp that up and raise more money. But I will say we're not talking about every dollar matters, but we're not talking about vast amounts of money here that are impossible to raise. You know, we're not talking about a $250,000 organization. We're talking about a pretty lean and mean organization. And we're partnering with people who create their own content that we can use. Now we do have some guidelines we have to stay within as a public access station. And we are going to demand a quality level, so we're not going to just accept anything that comes along, because that would kind of tear down the whole point of what we're trying to build here. So I think, so the answer to all these questions are yes, in time. What I know we can do in the short term, we're doing, and I think we're doing it very well in the short term. And, you know, and Kevin's been great to be behind this, and other people in town government have expressed their support for this as well. So that's why I'm excited about it and have agreed to undertake this one more thing in my life.
The timing is obviously, I mean, key with COVID. Who would have thought that we'd be delivering a virtual fireworks display a year ago, that kind of thing. And I don't see that changing even if we get back to some normal fashion. Who knows what that's going to be like. I still think there's going to be a great demand for more of this.
Yeah, there's certainly we've seen that, and we hear that, we all know that viscerally. We feel that we've got to be connected. But I think, and we've got that proof point. And we also know that, you know, the government side of it works very well. We know that, you know, people who can't, certainly now, but even at the best of times, people who can't get into town can stay connected to government the same way they can stay connected to community. And I do know anecdotally, but I do know that people on different commissions go home and watch the other meetings that they couldn't go to for one reason or another, so they can stay abreast of everything that's happening on all the commissions in town, all the committees, et cetera.
Can I just chime in on one thing? I also think this is really, really important for the seniors.
Hey, Nancy.
I'm sitting in the dark with a puppy that's biting my ankles, which is why I'm not.
I've got one barking over here. I
Yeah.
thought you could hear.
But,
Yes.
but
Yep.
I just wanted to say that I think for the seniors in town, this is really, really important because it's simple for them. They don't have to Zoom. They don't have to do anything. They can turn on channel 79. And I think that so for all of the content that you're building and all that's happening in the town, it's a way to reach a group that I think is feeling quite isolated right now. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Nancy, do you think the senior group buys the New Canaan Advertiser hard copy? Is there a reason that maybe the content or some of the special programming should be listed in times that
It
it's
is
shown?
listed, and the times are in the Advertiser every week.
Oh,
Okay.
that's great.
Yeah, and we could also, you know, take advantage of the chamber blasts, you know, and
Yes.
putting anything out there in the way of programming.
Yeah,
Community calendar.
we've had some great luck with partnerships for distributing. We've got some good partnerships for distributing the information about the upcoming series in place that are basically mailing lists, email lists, and newsletters like the Chamber's newsletter. But even New Canaan Moms has been very helpful with the podcast series that we've been doing on social well-being. So we're building that because we know that's people will read, and it validates if they're reading it in something they believe in, that they've connected to. So we're trying to leverage lots of channels, but again, there's some juggling going on here, and we're doing the best we can. But we just see we've seized the opportunity to move forward, and these couple of series. And Nancy, I don't think you were on when I was talking about the Celebrating Women series, but
No, I was, and I
okay.
can say we were so excited. It felt like Hollywood was in our living in our
It did.
parlor.
Yeah.
Yes. All the bells and whistles.
So there's an excitement about it, and we do, if I do say so myself, we've got some really strong content coming up to elevate the game, but just to keep. I want to do more around. Tucker knows I've been calling pretty much every organization in town that's got a public face to say, how can we illustrate and share what you do, not as a commercial, but illustrate. So the Land Trust would be a great example, right? I mean, doing tours of all the properties, that's a great visual. It's a great way to take virtual tours. And there are other organizations like that. Several years ago, and it's several years ago now, when I was on the board of Channel 79, so that's got to be 10 years ago, we actually did a series where I personally interviewed every nonprofit in town in a half-hour interview to give them a half hour to explain who they are, what the impact is. And everybody loved it. And it was a way for them to explain who they are, and for us as an audience to understand what they do and what their impact was. I want to do something like that again today.
Yeah. And so many of our wonderful not-for-profit organizations have really been shuttered in the last 6 months and unable to really get their performances out, and doing a higher quality video that shows those great performances would be great. Even, I know I keep talking about content, but there are so many freelance artists, instrumentalists who have not been able to play in chamber groups or anything. And even having a series of 7 p.m. songs to listen to after dinner or whatever might give musicians an opportunity to do some performance. So it's really kind of a gift to some people that have not been able to get out there. And
the ones we are talking to a chamber orchestra as well. The ones we are talking to, the organizations we're talking to are projects at the moment, Amanda, where I either feel strongly that I can get the financial support, or I already have somebody saying, yeah, if you go do that, I'll help seed the project. So certainly from my end, I'm putting in as much time as I can into this. I'm firmly behind it because I believe in it. But there are other people who've expressed interest, and people have different interests. So someone who's really interested in art will help support a community art show. Someone really interested in music will help with that. So we've got something for everybody. And the idea is to, again, everything has to be funded at some point. But so far, we're batting 1,000 in that realm. This town we know is a very giving town, but and again, we're not talking about huge budgets and huge asks, so people can get in and support something for the community in a real nominal way that I think has a large and outsized impact for what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's worth emphasizing, Bob, that you've taken this to the, on tour, if you will, and gotten a lot of support from every organization that you can find. So it'll be
The sweat equity and cash, right? That's the way these things get built. Yeah.
Kevin, do you have any questions?
One thought I was going to mention,
So Tucker, do you need a motion?
Not yet.
Not
Hang
yet.
on one sec. We're almost there. Kevin?
So, the schools have Channel 78, which is their version of Channel 79. And there's a great video department at the high school, and the kids, a number of kids, specialize in that. And but they're in the same mode that Channel 79 is. It's kind of like the old technology delivered through one platform. So maybe we could draw upon some of the Channel 78 resources and make them more broadly available, because I'm sure the average senior at home doesn't even think about turning on Channel 78.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I have been in talks with Roman about that as well. And over the years, Roman and I have had, I'm not telling tales out of school, we've had several conversations about this. And then I left the board for, I was gone for a number of years in between, but I've resurrected those conversations. So we are looking down that path. What it means yet, again, we're at the starting gate here. So I can say a lot will happen in 2 years, but right now I'm at the starting gate and I need to get out of the blocks.
So
But
let me give,
there's content there, athletic games, championship games.
Yeah,
things-
no, I very, very familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%.
so to keep it in context for everybody, we are into the new budget season for us. I mean, in terms of, we've spent the money that we were allocated last year. So we're now at zero, starting all over again. Kevin, it's 30,000 again this year?
I believe so.
I think so, yeah. What Bob is asking for here is a third of the budget. It's early in the year, but I think from what I've just heard, this really does everything that we've been trying to accomplish here at TDAC in many ways. So I know Sue asked if we needed a motion, but I just don't know if we need any more discussion or if anybody has any concerns or how we want to proceed next. If you're ready for a motion, we can go that route.
And the money would go to New Canaan Public Access, Inc. for this project.
From my perspective, this is really the future. It isn't necessarily the future of COVID. It's just the future.
Mm.
And so we really need to be thinking about, that's how people get their information, how they want to contact people, how they want to connect. And I think if we're not, I think it's tremendously important.
Okay, so having
Thank
said
you.
that, Sue, do you want to make the motion to approve?
I will make the motion. Well, I think it's a recommendation.
Yes, the motion to
That we
recommend to
would
the Board of Selectmen.
recommend the spending of, I'm sorry, Bob, it was 10,000?
10,000, yes.
Okay, for this communication of 79.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second, yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Here.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I'm an aye. Is anybody opposed? Okay, we didn't have a discussion, so that sounds like it was unanimous. So Kevin, we'll get that to you to get it on the Board of Selectmen agenda, and we'll
Great.
take it from there. Thank you. Before everybody leaves, though, Fred has joined us.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Bob. I
Thanks,
mean,
Bob.
Bob.
Bob and I have been on the phone 3-4 times a day, it seems, for the last 3 weeks on this. So he's working every angle.
And I imagine that when we raised our hands, that was probably for something else too.
Yeah. So thank you, Bob, for everything on that
You're
one.
welcome.
Fred, you have some exciting news you want to share with the group, just as an information, by way of information.
Yes, indeed. It's an can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Oh, as an introduction, Bob, I just want to say that what you've reported is really exciting. And I'm so glad to see that they funded it with enthusiasm, because I think that's exactly the spirit of the town, the connection and the information. In fact, what I'm about to report to you, I hope we can add into what you're doing. I'm basically giving you an update on which I think you already know about, and that is something that Amanda mentioned to you in several meetings ago about an art show that we have been trying to put together here at the Noyce House. And this is really done in spirit of the idea that of using the Noyce House to further some goals of increasing cultural stuff around in New Canaan as best we can. And to that end, Abby Bangzer has been spearheading this show, which has been being installed in the last week, pretty much on schedule for what Amanda mentioned to you several weeks ago. And it's a matter of fact, they're still hammering nails and doing all the other things. It's going to be hit its fruition on really the 19th of September, because of
I know.
it is actually a combination of 3 galleries who have donated work so that it can be in the show. This is very sort of high-end stuff. Abby Bangzer, who you know is a local resident who lives on Chichester, is kind of a big deal in the art world. And her husband, Matt Bangzer, runs one of the galleries, Blumenpole. And then there's another gallery out of New York and California, Mendes Woods. And that, along with what Abby herself does, Object and Things. So in this house, presently, are combination artworks from those 3 galleries. Now, because of COVID and all the rest of it, sort of generally, but it will be open from September to November, the end of November, Saturdays only, by appointment, which means it will be one entity, one family or whatever will be able to come to the house for 45 minutes, look at it. Then there's a 15-minute of cleaning, and then the next entity can come through the house. It's a combination of seeing this amazing art, and we're really at the upper levels in the art world, and also understanding what we've always talked about, or time I've been in and talked to you about the versatility of this house, which is to say that it's not caught in that period of time in the 50s, but rather is adaptable to what is now going on, and that's much spirit of what my father was thinking about when he designed the house. That things moved around all the time. Objects were coming in, this would move here and there. So now we're leaving the house exactly that it is, but it's a brand new set of art 50 or 60 years later. And let me tell you, it looks great. So I want to invite you guys, especially, to come see it on the 18th, the day before it's going to have its official opening. And we've said, how about 12, which we figure is a lunch break for a lot of you, and therefore not confined to work time. Come and see what we're about. And we would like very much. There's going to be a video that's made of it starting tomorrow by Michael Biondo, who's also a resident. And that's going to be posted so that people can see in New York or whatever what's going on. We'd like to work with you, Bob, to make that part of whatever you're doing. We'd like to work with Nancy to make that part of the historic museum. We'd also like to work in conjunction with Laura Pla, because we've always thought of this as being a subset of the October 4 design, that we could do a certain portion of this. So there you go. That's my report to you. It's an update, and let me tell you, it looks pretty exciting here, and I hope you'll take us up and come and join us and see what we've been up to and how this can help New Canaan and on the 18th.
This is very exciting, Fred. Wow. So
Fred,
I just want to
make
make sure I get the details straight. So you're saying September 18th at noontime to physically come visit the house?
To September 18th at noontime for the TDAC
Okay.
committee.
All right.
And then-
What I can do is collect RSVPs from everybody.
Very careful of COVID, and that's the reason it's so restricted. And but there you go. And there'll be information on the artwork, obviously, in the house and everything else we can provide.
Well,
Fred,
thank you.
You know my passion for your house and everything you're doing there. So if there's anything we can do at all, you're obviously in great hands with Michael. So, but if there's anything we can do at all, please let me know.
Well, and Bob, I'm going to come back to you on that. As I mentioned to you the last time I was in front of the committee, that I would really very much appreciate your enthusiasm then, as I do now. I really like that.
I also
Great
just
news.
want to say that this is a wonderful model of not only what can happen in Fred's family's home, but the idea of this kind of private partnership where people can come into a home, maybe by invitation only or small groups, to see these treasures is another thing to consider in our new world, where we're not able to have such large groups. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And I think that Abby has put together a beautiful press package, and I think we're going to be seeing some great news organizations carrying it, which could only be good for New Canaan. So I think that there's some nice reciprocity here.
Sure.
A point well taken. I think this is going to be covered extensively, if my understanding is right. Of course, this is Abby's baby. I'm just the recipient of the art hanging in the house that I'm now looking at. But I believe it's going to be a high-end PR across the art world, which will give New Canaan some good exposure along with, and as you know, I'm a huge believer in linkages, so that the linkage between what we can do at this house and what Greg does at the Glass House and Grace Farms, and so that it's all of a piece. Then instead of being individual little bits and things, that we're all coordinated, that people get the sense that we know what we have in our cultural heritage moving forward. So it all links.
Yeah, Amanda, didn't you say that there was some press coverage you mentioned in the email to me that you were aware of? Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think we might see something this weekend in the Wall Street Journal magazine, and some others coming up. So that's under Abby's umbrella, and I'm sure she's been working really hard at that.
All right, well, you heard it here. TDAC is invited September 18th at noon. I, for one, will definitely make it a point to stop by. I think that obviously masks will be required and all of that stuff. And we'll just get ahead. I'll get a head count for you, Fred, just so you know how many of us plan on coming.
That would be great. That would be great. So thank
All right,
you.
Thank you. Anybody else before we wrap it up?
I wanted to ask Fred a question. So this is going to run for 2 months with Saturdays
Of November,
by appointment?
Saturdays only.
You know, I was thinking that perhaps if you did a video tour that you could broadcast and then invite people to, you know, register online for future Saturdays.
I think that's what we're doing.
Oh, good.
Great.
The video is going to begun to be shot tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Fantastic. Got it covered. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I see Jack Loop raising his hand, sort of, and I see BJ as a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you guys. Thanks for making
Thank you
yourselves
again, everybody,
available.
for your support.
And our
Thank
next
you.
meeting is on the 24th if we don't see you before at the 18th, but I'll send you all a recap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Tucker.
You
Good
all.
night, all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.